Good morning, my dear students. Welcome to Social Science Revision online teaching classes from Vishwamanava Residential High School. Dear students, in today's video, we are going to discuss 1 marks, 2 marks and 3 marks question and answers in the lesson Globalization of a Business. Okay, my dear students, let's start the class now. The first question, answer the following questions in a one sentence or two sentence each. The first question in this lesson, what is globalization? Answer, globalization means the free movement of capital, technology, goods and services throughout the world is called as a globalization. It is nothing but free movement of capital, technology, goods and services, isn't it? It is called as a globalization. Then second question, how is the world trade market worldwide? How is the world trade market worldwide? Answer, as a result of globalization, the close relation and interdependence among the countries of the world has been increased, and business and market have become worldwide units. Then third question, globalization creates free trade zone. How? Answer, globalization creates free trade zone by removing the import and export duties. Globalization creates free trade zone because they are removing the import and export duties. Then fourth question, how does globalization help to spread of local foods to other countries? Answer, globalization increase international tours and travels. It increase the international tours and travels. So this lead to spreading of multiculturalization and better individual access to cultural diversity. So this lead to the spread of local foods to other countries. Then fifth question, how do you say that due to the globalization, customers are offered wider choice of goods and services? How do you say that? Answer, globalization has made the availability of the different types of products. The different types of products all over the world. Due to this reason, customers offered wider choice of goods and services, isn't it? Then sixth question, globalization decreases the cost of goods. How? Answer, globalization creates competition for local firms and thus keeps the cost down. Then seventh question, globalization helps to produce quality goods. Justify the statement. How globalization helps to produce quality goods? Because globalization, it promote specialization. It promote specialization and countries can begin to specialist in those products that are best at marketing. Then eighth question, globalization enhance social and political harmony among the countries. Justify the statement. See here, answer, economic interdependence among different countries can build improved political and social links. So globalization enhance social and political harmony among the countries. Then the ninth question, globalization leads to unemployment in developing countries. How globalization leads to unemployment in developing countries? Answer, cheap imports of goods from developed nations could lead to unemployment in developing countries where the cost of product is very high. See here, globalization leads to unemployment in the developing countries. How? See, the cheap imports of goods from developed nations could lead to unemployment in the developing countries. So, where the cost of production is very high, isn't it? The next 10th question, expand IMF. IMF, it is International Monetary Fund. Then 11th question, expand WTO, World Trade Organization. WTO, World Trade Organizations. So these are the 1 marks or 2 marks question answers in the lesson Globalization of Business. Now let's move on the second main 3 or 4 marks question and answers. Answer the following questions. The first question in this lesson, how does globalization help to the economic movement of the world? How does globalization help to the economic movement of the world? Answer, it increase of international trade and free movement of goods and services, flow of capital and increase of investment and creation of world wide market and creation of bilateral agreements, isn't it? So this is about globalization help to the economic development of the world. It increases the international trade and it is free movement of goods and services and flow of capital and it is fully increasing of investment, isn't it? Then the second question, mention the characteristics of globalization or list out the remarkable characteristics in globalization. Answer, in the characteristics of globalization we can see increase of international trade. It increases the international trade. And second point, flow of capital and increase of investment. And third point, it fully creates of international agreements. Then it increases the role of international organizations. The international organizations we can see WTO and IMF, etc. And it is international cultural exchange. So this is about the characteristics of globalization, isn't it? Then third question, list out the advantages of globalization. What are the advantages of globalization or what are the positive impacts of globalization? What are the positive impacts or advantages? See here, the first point, globalization, it increases the GDP of the country. Globalization has helped in increasing the income of the people and customers are offered a much wider choice of goods and services and create competition for local firms. Globalization promote specialization and countries can begin to specialize in those products that are best at making and economic interdependence among different countries can build improved political and social links. So this is about the positive impacts of globalization or advantages of globalization. Now let's move on the fourth question in this lesson. Globalization leads to close relationship between countries. How? How globalization leads to close relationship between countries? Answer, development of global telecommunication infrastructure and greater transfer border data flow in the leads to close relationship between the countries of globalization. We can see development of global telecommunication and infrastructure and greater transfer border, isn't it? Then second point, use of technologies such as exchange of data technology, internet communication satellites and cell phones improve the relationship and increases economic practice. The increases economic practice like outsourcing of by multinational corporation. So due to this, the relationship between countries has been fully increased, isn't it? Then let's move on the fifth question. Globalization is the worldwide economic movement. Justify the statement. Or globalization is fully essential to both developed and developing countries. Why? Answer. See here. Globalization increase the international flow of capital and including foreign investment. It increase the international flow of capital. Then second point, hence it is needed to developing countries, and globalization helps to developed countries to maintain economic stability. So globalization is a world economic movement, isn't it? Then sixth question, globalization enhance social and political harmony among countries. Justify the statement. Or due to the globalization, social and political harmony has been increased. How? Answer. The concept of world family emerged due to globalization. Then economic interdependence among different countries can build improve political and social links. Then due to foreign trade, international relationship has been increased. See here, the concept of world family emerged so due to the globalization. In this concept, economic interdependence among different countries can be built to improve the political and social links among the globalization, isn't it? Now let's move on to another important question. List out the disadvantages of globalization. Or what are the negative impacts of globalization? What are the negative impacts or what are the disadvantages of globalization? See here, in the disadvantages or negative impacts of globalization, the first point, destructions of small scale industries. Then second point, discrimination between rich and poor has been fully increased. Then third point, degradation of environment. Fourth point, it insecurity among the laborers. Then deadly viral diseases. The deadly viral diseases like AIDS and cancer spread all over the world, and then unemployment in the developing nations. So this is about the disadvantages or negative impacts of globalization. Now let's move on another important question. How does globalization affect traditional food habit? Explain. Globalization affects food habits and health of people. How? See here, how does globalization affect national food habits? Because fast food chains like McDonald's, KFC are fully spreading fast in the developing world. All of you know that. Fast food chains like McDonald's, KFC, burger are spreading fast in the developing world. Then people have started consuming more junk food. People have fully started consuming more junk food. For example, pani puri, gobi manchuri, and bakery items, isn't it? So this result in the degradation of health and spread of diseases. Then the traditional family attached food habits are being slowly disappearing. So this is about globalization affect traditional food habit. Now let's move on another important question. Globalization can destroy the manufacturing ability of developing nations. Criticize the statement. How globalization can destroy the manufacturing ability of developing nations? See here answer. The other challenges of globalization or cheap imports of goods from developing nations could lead to unemployment in developed countries where the cost of production is very high, isn't it? The other challenges of globalization we can see the imports of goods from developing nations could lead to unemployment. Then, further, it leads to increased competition from infant industries and small scale industries and by dumping of goods by certain countries at below cost price may harm industries in other countries. So, this is about globalization can destroy the manufacturing ability of the developing nations. Now, let's move on. The another important question in this lesson globalization has led to environmental degradation. How? How globalization has led to environmental degradation? Answer. One is urbanization. Second one is accumulation of garbage. Third one is creation of garbage bins. Fourth one is air pollution and noise pollution due to industrialization. And the last one is environmental degradation. So, this is about globalization has led to environmental degradation. See, these are the 1 marks, 2 marks and 3 marks question and answers in the lesson globalization of a business. My dear students, in today's video, we have discussed 1 marks, 2 marks and 3 marks question and answers in the lesson globalization of a business. Okay, my dear students, thank you.